How's it going, guys? And I'm here with your SmackDown review. So, I don't know what happened this week, but just how the mighty fall so fast. I get excited. I put over last week's show that I greatly enjoyed. And, they just couldn't carry over to a second week. And I know what you're going to say. It was at an MSG. That's one of those shows where there's special shows. But, could we even get, just a percentage of that goodness? Can we at least get a like half as good, a quarter of good? There were some good things on this show this week, but we're going to get to them, the little bit that there is. But I mean, how can the show just fall so fast like that? Where everything is kicking on all cylinders, everything's clicking, and this week it's just like, it's back to whatever. We'll be better than Raw. We'll be better than AEW, but we're still going to be, where we show that we have that potential, but we're just not going to reach it. Like, I don't know what it was. It's almost like, oh, we can't have every show that good because everyone's expectations. And I was seeing that online. People are saying, oh, people's expectations were too high. Like, does anyone like realize just how stupid that sounds, making those types of excuses? This is almost like the AEW making excuses for the ratings and, trying to do this, mental gymnastics with the demo, the key demo and everything, when it's just basically like the ratings are lower. So they didn't win anything. But you're gonna have everybody because they want it to be so. They want them to beat them in the ratings, so that they'll pick this little piece and they'll pick that little piece. Meanwhile, like losing the whole picture along the way of the message they're trying to convey, because they want that message to be true so badly. And this is the thing, like, how long are people gonna also say this about WWE? Oh, expectations are too high. Like, I lived for many years growing up with this product and being used to at least getting a decent show, every single week, getting awesome shows most of the time during the Attitude Era. And the Ruthless Aggression, like I said, you'd at least get a decent show. You'd at least get a show that you were like, I was happy I watched that. Now, what do we do like most of most of the time? Well, there was some good stuff on the show, and I don't know what else. I didn't really feel like this was really worth watching overall. It's pretty much the same thing, but that's what kind of gets me a little bit annoyed because I'm so sick of this. Like, once in a while you get something great, and I'll say the last couple of pay-per-views were pretty good too, and they're not getting enough credit. But like, we shouldn't have to lower expectations when we see, what can be. And, this is what happens. Everyone just says, oh, well, this is just, this is fine, because we can't expect too much of them. So what is the message here? I don't know what it is. If like people don't want WWE to do too well because they want AEW to be better, or what the message is really supposed to be. Because I'm confused with like everyone's opinion is like towards this. Like, do they want the show to be bad? Do they want it to be good? Or they're still making excuses when the show doesn't, live up to the previous shows? Like, look, the MSG one was good. It proved that they can do a good show when they want to. So we kick off with this segment that's just like a half an hour goes by and we get a good match, but it's almost like I say it like at what cost? Like, what was really accomplished in this first segment? Well, let's dissect it. So first we spend like a good like 7-8 minutes recapping everything from the past week. This is all fine and well. I was looking back on the Attitude Era. They used to recap shows a lot. They did that a lot of times on Raw. They did it on SmackDown, show you what happened on Raw. And I kind of forgot. They didn't always do this. I'm not always the biggest fan of recapping all the time, showing every little thing. And they didn't always do that. A lot of times it was like a one and done. If you missed it, then you missed it, which is kind of good in a way because it's like, oh, what did I miss? I better not miss next week. Not really, there's like not a lot on this show where you're going to really say that, but you get the point. Like, recapping is just, it's such a time filler. And Roman Reigns isn't even done getting to the ring by the time the recaps are done. He's still like at the ring steps. So finally he gets in the ring, asked the crowd to acknowledge him. He tells Paul, tell him why they should acknowledge me. Talks about Brock Lesnar being scared of Roman Reigns. Out comes Big E. And here I didn't get this. A face-to-face. Like, okay, Big E just won the belt on Raw. Why is he face-to-face with Roman? I get that he was mocking, and teasing Heyman with the briefcase backstage, trying to make like he was going to cash in on Roman Reigns, but he ended up cashing in Monday night on Lashley. So why the hell is he out there? I don't get this. Now, we find out that there's a little bit about Survivor Series here, but like, it's September. Survivor Series isn't until November. And then Balor comes out, so like, okay, but he's not wearing the paint. He's not the Demon. So we saw the Demon last week, now he's back to being Balor. And, okay, I get it. Balor says you don't like the paint, it's too much. I mean, like, this guy is in the WWE, and he's complaining. Think about the Ultimate Warrior and Goldust and Sting. Can you imagine if these guys said, oh, well, it's too much of a pain to put on the makeup. Like, this is the only time that you're truly over. This is what people always want you to be. You'd be so much more popular, than this goof who's doing the Fonzie routine with the pop collar on the leather jacket. If you would be the Demon, no one likes this other shit. So it's like, so why not do the good shit? Why do the lousy, lazy way? Because this is just the generation. And it's like, and this is just fine with a lot of people. It's fine with people with AEW, just a bunch of plain dudes, none of them looking like stars, but hey, it's a great wrestling show. Like, just low standards the whole way around, no demand for excellence or being the best that you could possibly be. This is why we had a lot of people saying, oh, NXT was great. What are they doing with 2.0? God forbid they try to inject a little bit of life, a little bit of character into the show. I mean, it's like people act like McMahon is this evil, demented guy who wants to ruin everybody. I mean, it's not McMahon's fault that, sometimes a lot of it is his fault. Like, we're going to talk about a little bit later on about, how we've got people like Happy Corbin just being hot-shotted into this role while not even taking full advantage of the bum-ass Baron Corbin character, or taking advantage of the conspiracy theory Sami Zayn character, and just kind of washing over that and going right to the next thing. So, we've seen this time and time again, like, strokes of genius, like with Bad News Barrett. We've covered it all on this channel over the years. But, most of the time, McMahon will push for character. So when someone is showing that they're just a charisma vacuum, even to the point where they had Dolph Ziggler actually call Finn Balor a few years ago a charisma vacuum. I don't know. I think it'd be a good idea if this guy did everything in his power to be the Demon. And he's off complaining, saying, they're not, they don't think that I'm at a higher level. They're giving the guy a pay-per-view match, and he's complaining. They're giving him wins on TV. They're making him go almost 50-50 even after getting attacked with Roman Reigns, their top star, and this guy's actually complaining on the internet. I mean, if any guy deserved to get jobbed out, it's this guy. I mean, this is a guy where he'll go on later tonight saying that he's not supposed to be there. You're damn right you're not supposed to be there. And this is a good reason why, because you're complaining about what you're getting, and you're getting more than what you actually deserve. People would be lucky to get this spot. There's so many more people on the roster that look better, more deserving. We have Otis, who's not even on this show, for example. Nowhere on this card, and he is getting a spot. Even a guy like Chad Gable looks 10 times better than Finn Balor. He's not on the card, but Finn Balor's getting the spot. So to me, it's just downright outrageous that this guy has the nerve to complain. But anyway, he's coming out there, and to me, it looks like Big E's more of the challenger. I don't get this. Why is Big E even a factor right now? This is supposed to be the story between Balor, and they haven't even told that story. And they've already moved on to the story with Brock Lesnar at Crown Jewel. So who's even going to believe that Finn Balor has a chance at beating this guy? We all know that's not going to happen. So why do we even have to waste our time? We've already seen this match. Now the guy's just going to paint his face and lose to Reigns again. Of course, he's probably going to go 50-50 with him again. Maybe even worse this time. And I'm kind of getting a little sick of this all the time with Reigns having these opponents that are not worth a damn, like Kevin Owens, and he has to struggle to beat them. Which kind of really irks me because, it would have looked better if Reigns was a bit dominant when he went into matches with Edge and John Cena. He's going 50-50 with everybody. I think, it's a little stupid already that he's this dominant champion and they can't just have him have a dominant win. But anyway, we're going to go ahead with that match anyway. So we have a tag match, and it's a good match. It's Big E and Balor versus the Usos. I don't know why they're going over on the Usos, going over on the tag champs, when this is not even a tag team. There's no purpose for the match to even happen. Seriously, Big E's feud now is going to be with Lashley, apparently. So why is he even here on SmackDown? They're building for a Survivor Series match that's not even going to take place until November. And the guy, is that really Raw versus SmackDown? The guy was on SmackDown all year. Now he moves to Raw. Now that's Raw versus SmackDown. Give me a fucking break. That is just come on. That's why they need to stop doing these champion versus champions. They've backed themselves into a corner. Just have it be normal. Can we not just go back to having the 10-man tags again at Survivor Series like it used to be? Just have the elimination tags? Now we have to make sure it's Raw versus SmackDown every year. I mean, come on. This, you've done how many brand extensions already? You've done 3 of them, and they've all failed. And now we're still doing this concept. It is time to kill this concept. It is time to bury it already. Enough with the, SmackDown versus Raw. No one buys or gets into this stuff. All right, so let's move on. So, we got Roman Reigns and Heyman backstage. Good little segment here. He asked Heyman, does he know if he's going to be, is Lesnar going to be at Extreme Rules? Heyman says he honestly doesn't know. And here's the thing. How do we go from, Brock Lesnar, it's so over, so much, the crowd's into it, and now we kind of just go to Big E and Balor. This is what I'm saying, why it's so stupid to have this match. Look, I get it. Brock Lesnar only works certain dates. Pay him a little bit more to be there at those dates, to do those extra dates, because I'm telling you, this is complete murder here. We're dialing back the story. I'm sorry, but this is just not good. You can't just have this hot segment, this hot story, and put it on the back burner. We'll deal with it in a few weeks when Brock's next date comes up. So now we have to put up with a shoehorn Big E story where he doesn't even fit into anything here. Oh, he mocked Heyman backstage. Okay, and he's still has to go through this, this automated match with Balor that we know he's going to win. So pointless that we know the result already, but they're going to have us sit through it anyway. And I get it, you can make the argument, maybe they could have the match at Extreme Rules. Well, I get it, they want to have it in Saudi Arabia. But still, this is just they just made a mess out of things here. There's so much going on here in this opening segment. Before we know it, a half an hour is gone. And I'm just like scratching my head like, what a mess. What a total fucking mess that was. Like a good match and everything, but like, Reigns has like 3 feuds going on at once. When really the feud that everyone wants to see and the big, most interesting, most over one with Lesnar, he's not even there. So we have Boogs coming out, and he defeats Robert Roode in a rather short match. I mean, I've said it till I'm blue in the face about Robert Roode, but hey, Boogs is over. This guy, wasn't sure how to feel about him at first, but I mean, he's just full of energy, full of charisma. Now, his guitar fucked up during the intro there. I've had that happen to my guitar where the electronics get messed up, and you hear, the distortion starts fading. It's, you have to, at that point, you got to take it to the guitar shop unless you know how to fix guitars and get that shit replaced. But, Boog's still committing to the bit. And, I mean, it was a little cringy that, McAfee is not even reacting to it. Like, we kind of hear it, that we don't hear any more distortion coming from the guitar. I mean, he's still playing anyway. He's committing to the bit, but like, he must hear that there's nothing playing anymore, that he's just basically hearing himself hitting the strings and the acoustics are just ringing out. And God knows no one can hear that in the arena. If you ask me, Boogs is completely overshadows Nakamurphy. For everyone that says that Nakamurphy's this huge charismatic star, I mean, he stands next to Boogs, who's supposed to be his sidekick, and this guy is just completely overshadowed him. I don't have a problem with that, but I mean, it's like, Boogs is just a little bit too over to be with Nakamurphy at this point. I mean, he's almost like his own thing, and Nakamurphy looks like the sidekick. Anyway, we finally remember Apollo Crews. He used to be IC champion. Now he's getting his revenge against Nakamurphy. This is probably the most delayed revenge that I've seen in quite some time. But he's ready to take his belt back. He cuts a promo, and we have a match for next week. Kevin Owens is backstage cutting a promo here. And dear Lord, I don't know what this was supposed to be. I usually say, Owens might look like shit, but he's good on the mic. Well, good Lord, this was shit. He talks about, turning the frown upside down on his face and turning Happy Corbin's frown upside down, and it just went all over the place. And Kevin Owens even seemed like he was confused. I don't know if that was scripted or he was shooting from the hip or whatever the case may be, but it sounded absolutely dreadful. I don't know what he was going for, but never try that again. That just sounded like a complete disaster. And I was just sitting there like, oh my God, like, what the fuck is he even trying to say here? It just sounded just completely just off and just like, what? And like, first of all, this is a wrestling promo, and it sounded like a kindergartner talking here. Just awful in every sense of the word. So Corbin ends up attacking Owens as he's coming to the ring, and we never have a match. And quite frankly, I hate this trope. I don't get why Corbin wasn't there at MSG last week. And this is the thing, people complaining about Zelina Vega and everything, and everything about her dad, passing away, at 9/11. It would have been a good story to have her come out there and everything, and have her match, but they cut her match, and whatever the case may be. I mean, I feel sorry for her. That would actually be a pretty touching moment that I'd get behind. But people are accusing WWE of malice. I mean, come on, guys, they didn't even have Corbin on their show, who's like one of their most over acts. This was just really disappointing, though, this week. No promo, just one of these little tropes here that we got again with, the guy getting beat down before the match and he's unable to continue. Now, I get it. He choke slammed him on the ring apron. But this is Kevin Owens we're talking about. This guy, he got up after getting thrown through a table by Sami Zayn. He got up constantly during the TLC match with Roman Reigns. Got up constantly during the Last Man Standing match with Roman Reigns at the Royal Rumble. You're telling me this guy can't, he can't continue. He can't even start a match because he got attacked from behind. I'm just saying, like, the continuity here and the thought process, and you say wrestling, I get it, but, like, come on, you want to sell this guy as, like, unstoppable and an undying heart and an undying will, to keep going. And, I don't know. Owens didn't seem that determined. He's just down for the count. He's belly up like a beached whale from like one choke slam, on the apron or not. I'm just saying you've sold this guy as being like, more resilient than Stone Cold or The Rock or even Undertaker, kicking out of all these different moves, getting up, and now we kind of expect that going forward, but we don't get that. It's just he's down, can't compete. No promo, no nothing. Just, a complete waste of a great character like Corbin. And, the setting of New York would have been perfect for a wheeling dealer like Corbin. We could have had him going to Times Square. We could have had him whining and dining. We could have seen him, just all different sites of New York City. It would have been good, but, it wasn't to be. And I can't really badmouth last week's show because it was a really good show, but I expect, like, we're going to come back strong with Corbin. We come back really weak and unsatisfying. So Seth Rollins comes out to the ring, and, I've said it time and time again. We've bashed Rollins over and over from pillar to post, and I've talked about this guy needs to get a character. Being a great wrestler is my character, is what he had tweeted out, like, years ago. And I've ragged on him ever since. The cheesesteaks are fantastic. You're on fire tonight. We've talked about it time and time again. The dreadful babyface run. The unmatchable, horrible Universal title run that he had in 2019. You name it. It made me cringe, from Rollins. So this guy has a feud with Edge this summer, and his whole personality and career is completely turned around, and I've done a 180 on him. Love the entrance, just everything about him, just being the maestro and just, the laughing just works so well. And this suit was just, it was interesting, the all silver suit, it's he's really grown on me, and I know it's got to be Edge working with this guy and saying, like, look, you got to have a character. You got to get back to the old school way of sports entertainment, and you could be the wrestler, but you should have a character to go along with that. And he's found that character, and I agree with him. The match with Edge on SmackDown was undoubtedly one of the best matches I've seen from him. The one at SummerSlam, another amazing match. Two great matches. And but we don't get to hear from Rollins because we go to the backstage, because it's one of these famous things. Oh, Rollins, one of the most over segments on last week's show. Well, you could just wait in the ring as we deal with some business back here. I just seriously hate when they do this. I don't get having wrestlers wait in the ring for the live crowd staring at the wrestler. Well, this is awkward, Anyway, we've got Heyman being confronted by Kayla, and I thought that this was pretty funny. I know not everyone likes this, but I personally think that the Heyman Kayla Braxton dynamic is quite funny, to say the least. I kind of like how he gets pissed off, and Heyman's just so over the top, and I've ragged on him for a while, that this guy's a shell of his former self, and but things like this, I think that it actually comes across quite well, and it's funny. So Big E is there to mock Heyman once again, and we got the Usos attacking Big E, and before that happens, Big E even talks about Survivor Series. And once again, I'm just saying, like, it's not until November, and you were just on SmackDown. So as far as I see this as, it's a SmackDown versus SmackDown match. Just so, like why? So, you obviously going to have a program now, a feud with Lashley, because you took the title off of him when he was hurt. So obviously there's going to be some follow-up to that. So why even enter into something this early when there's a whole nother story to tell from a different angle and you didn't even finish that? There's just so many different crossing paths. And I mean, you could say that that's eventful, but I just call it a mess. I just really do. It's just like, what are they doing? I just sit back and just say, like, this story just doesn't make any sense to me. Why would he go back to SmackDown to confront Roman Reigns when he never even confronted Roman Reigns in the first place? When he had the Money in the Bank, he confronted Heyman, and he already has a world title now. I can't even tell you why, and there's no explanation really given. But we've got the Usos attacking Big E, and this looked like a pretty vicious attack. I mean, like, the fists look good, slamming him into the road case. I mean, I thought, and finally, what I did like about this, no referees going, oh, stay back, stay back. You know, they left them laying, and that was it. And I actually thought that that's something that was long overdue. They needed to stop doing that referee wave off crap, and they didn't do it here. And I was pretty happy with what I saw. So this was like a pretty cool looking beatdown, very old school looking. So we go back to the ring after that, and it's Rollins, and he's just waiting in the ring. That is just, to me, like I said, the most awkward shit ever. Just having a wrestler wait in the ring. You know, and he says that's unfortunate, like he's commenting on it. Like, a wrestler should not be watching what's going on backstage, why he's in the ring, waiting for that business to get taken care of so he could get to his business. It's just so ridiculous to me. It just makes it feel even more phony. Like, well, my segment's not up yet, so I better wait. Anyway, this is what I'm talking about here about Rollins. Just a really good promo with good facial expressions, a good demeanor. You know, he's challenging, sort of, I guess this is a challenge maybe for Extreme Rules, but he didn't say. You know, he says, can you, you know, do you have the will to compete? He also used the line, I already knew what he was going to say. Here we are again with the word fear. I saw you on the stretcher and I saw that look in your eyes, and it was fear. And you know, like he just had Heyman say that, fear. You know, at least they didn't say coward. They just said fear this time. But I mean, like, you know, everyone's scared. Oh, you're scared of me. You're a coward. I see fear in your eyes. Like, so many cliches. And I don't know how it was that in 1999, in 2000, 2001, somehow we didn't have to resort to all these cliches. We always found new words and different ways of conveying a story without having to, you know, rely on these old sayings and these old tropes. You're a coward. You're scared to face me. Like, you know, you can't come up with any other insults than that. Like, there's like buy a book of insults or something. I don't know. It's just, okay, and you know, Rollins got this across pretty well, so I won't knock it too hard. But I mean, we already heard the fear bit in the opening segment is all I'm going to say. But I was, you know, quite happy with the character here of Rollins and getting this story over, and he's not done with Edge, and, you know, just a lot of different angles here and a lot of different range for Rollins. He's yelling in the right parts. He's quiet in the parts where he needs to be. And I thought it came across quite well. So, yeah, I'm actually becoming quite the fan of this current iteration of Seth Rollins. I just hope that it doesn't end up going off the rails like a lot of other things. Then we get Cringey Lynch in a backstage segment. And, you know, she says, you know, I've never been to a homecoming. Oh, I haven't mentioned this yet. So they've been building a Bianca Belair homecoming because they're in Knoxville, Tennessee, where Bianca Belair is from. And I mean, this is, you know, cool that they're doing this. They're taking advantage to get her over in her hometown. But of course, Cringey Lynch is back there in her a little bit of a different Kill Bill outfit than what she wore at WrestleMania a few years back. And she says, oh, I think I'll check out this homecoming. More ridiculous, cringy facial expressions. still trying way too hard with the different hairdos and everything. Like, I'm just saying, like, can they just, like, let her be herself? And she's not even coming across as a good heel. Like, there's nothing, she's not even acting heelish, she's just acting goofy. And we're going to talk about what happens. They'll be in the last segment, actually. Oh, look, it's Toni Storm and Liv Morgan. But this is the funny thing. So we've got Toni Storm and Liv Morgan winning by countout against Carmella and Zelina Vega. So Carmella and Vega get the entrance this week. I guess that's maybe their apology to Vega for last week. Because you know why? Because they come back from the commercial and we see the tail end of the Toni Storm Liv Morgan entrance. And I guess they came out together. But Toni Storm, I don't know what happened. Did she get injured or something? I didn't hear anything. She hasn't been there. They had vignettes for her. She shows up. We don't see her for months. We see her backstage. Ziggler's flirting with her. And then we don't see her for another few weeks. And then she shows up again in this random match. No promo, no nothing. Just Toni Storm's in action next. And this, to me, this is weird because usually the team that gets their entrance cut will be the team that will be jobbing. This was the reverse. So that's why I'm saying, like, this was maybe the apology to Vega. But you're going to lose the match by countout. But, we're going to let you have your entrance this week. So, I don't know. But anyway, we have Liv Morgan doing some overly complicated move. All her moves are, like, super complicated. And her finisher is, like, really situational. Like, she has to have the wrestler, like, sitting on the ropes. Like, not, like, on the top rope, but sitting on the middle rope so she could do her flatliner finisher. And I'm just saying, like, she has to, like, get everyone in these weird positions in order to do the moves. And I'm just saying, like, the offense that she does comes off looking extremely phony. So she does one of her, like, weird ass moves that she does in the corner, and it bops Carmella's face into the turnbuckle, and she acts like she's got a broken nose, and she gets counted out. Liv grabs the mic and says, "We're gonna have a match at Extreme Rules. Oh joy, a Liv Morgan match. Not a Toni Storm match." Because, that's the better looking girl, and obviously that's the girl that could wrestle better. I haven't seen too much of her, but I know she's better than Morgan. I'm just saying, like, we had Toni Storm come out there to play second fiddle to Liv Morgan. And we've kind of seen that the Liv Morgan ship has sailed. Why are we giving her a microphone, having her cut these promos with the terrible acting where she just has no character, no nothing? All I see when I look at Liv Morgan is someone with, like, makeup teardrops for no apparent reason. And I don't understand this feud. They're just doing some cat fight and everything, and it's not even like they're doing anything appealing with them. It's not a bra and panties match, not a swimsuit competition. It's just, it's two athletes who are angry at each other, and no one cares. So this is what I'm saying. If you're going to have two good-looking girls like this, you better have a gimmick lined up, but they're just probably going to have a normal match. Maybe they'll have an Extreme Rules match. I'm sure there's a lot of people out there. There's a lot of freaks that just want to see. I just want to see a good wrestling match between these two. So yeah, I don't know what they were doing here. Like, it just kind of surprised me. I was like, okay, I thought there was going to be something more to Toni Storm's return, but I guess not. We got the Street Profits doing this type of promo, and like, it's grown on me a little bit. It's just, I don't know, just Montez Ford just kind of comes off goofy here. I mean, I get it, he's being charismatic, but a part of me just says this is just a bit too bombastic. Like, I kind of feel weird saying that because it's like, they're trying to be charismatic and they're, being lively and energetic, but I just feel like it's just a bit too forced, and like Montez is just, he's just like going nuts, and it's just a little too much sometimes where I'm like, okay, wrap it up, guys. Even though it's like only a minute, to me, it's just like, and then they get serious at the end, and that's all fine and well, but all right, so then we get Carmella and Zelina Vega in the back, and they're checking on her nose, and Sonya Deville informs them that that match will be taking place at Extreme Rules. Yay! Then we get Balor cutting a promo, and Balor is telling us about how he's not supposed to be there. His family was railroad workers, and we're finding out about this. Like, these are interesting little tidbits that like could help us tell us who Finn Balor is, because there's not much else to him. But we learn about this stuff like 5-6 years later, after he's already in WWE, and like, here's a reason why we should care. And then they do like a facial transfer of like him to the Demon. So, hey, look, you got to be the Demon, Finn, without having to put on the makeup. I mean, it was a pretty cool effect, I will say. But like, him just being the Demon probably would have been better here. But I mean, it was okay. It's just, I'm also looking at the promo, and I'm just seeing how many starts and stops there are. Like, it really seemed like, he's looking in the camera, good, I guess, but like, he's obviously like reading off a cue cards or a teleprompter, because it's almost like he's reading a sentence, pausing, like almost how they tell you to do it in school, like take a breath and then start. There was no passion or energy to this. It was just like straight generic flatline delivery, and this is the problem I have with Balor. Like, seriously, this guy should not be on TV. They should not approve him to be on TV without putting on the getup, because this is what you get otherwise. You get just a plain stone-faced guy with not much or really anything to offer. And this is the guy that's supposed to, be the placeholder for Brock Lesnar until Brock gets his shot. I'm sorry, but that to me is a miserable, replacement here. Not replacement, but just like a placeholder, I guess, until Brock gets his shot. Like, just a time waster. And it just, this guy does not fill that role very well. Like I said, no one is going into Extreme Rules watching that show really believing that Balor is going to win. Then we've got Sami Zayn, who, it's funny, we got Dominic entering the ring first, and then we go backstage and we see Naomi approaching Sonya Deville and asking her, when's she gonna get her match, and she says, you've been ignoring me for weeks, and she gets up in her face. Later on, we find out that she was fined for this. I mean, it was good to see some aggression there, but like, I don't really kind of get this story. Like, is Jimmy Uso okay with his wife being mistreated? Like, they're running the show with the tribal chief. He's in charge. He's calling the shots, and these authority figures are just kind of like, they're just very flinty kind of characters. They're very wishy-washy characters. And, he's going to allow his wife to be treated this way on the show. Like, it doesn't really make a storyline sense. I know you're going to say, like, oh, well, maybe they want to keep him separate, but why? Why wouldn't Jimmy Uso want to have his attractive wife next to him on screen? It's better than her doing the glow gimmick and doing all that stuff. It would make more sense if the dynasty, the Samoan dynasty, is supposed to be the focus here. Why are we not getting more of the family involved? I've said this for weeks and weeks. You've got your virtual pick of the litter when it comes to Samoans. We've got a lot of the Samoan family still alive. We've got Nia Jax. We've got Tamina over on Raw. We're not doing anything significant with them. So, Tamina's actually still the tag champion, right? But they're not doing anything with that. So, why not just plug these people into the respectful place, the respective place that they should be in? There's no reason why it should just be Roman Reigns, his two cousins, and the fat guy. You know what I mean? It's just, I know it's a bit bare bones for something that's supposed to be head of the table. Well, the table's kind of small. Maybe we should set it with more members. And here's your perfect opportunity to do that with Naomi. But instead, we're going to go with this. I don't know. Is it leading to a match? Is it going to lead to Sonya Deville maybe, stepping out of her position as a WWE official and returning to the ring? And she's going to have her first match back against Naomi. To me, there's like not a lot of intrigue in that, but okay. I mean, that's kind of where it seems like it's going. It's just she could be better served on here. She's a talented girl, a good-looking girl. Why not put her in to the bloodline? And that would make a lot more sense and be a lot more effective. But it's just a crazy idea. So Dominic finally is shown on camera again. You know, he does this entrance, Ray's right behind him, but for some reason, we just cut backstage and we do 2 minutes of this. I don't understand how they keep doing this on the show, and they feel like this is a good idea to have an entrance, have a guy stand out there, and we come back to the ring, and they're just like, ugh. Dominic is just standing around looking like a doofus in the meantime as he waits for Sami Zayn to come out. And, of course, no character here for Zayn. Completely stripped him of everything he had around WrestleMania time with the whole conspiracy theory gimmick. And it's just another gimmick that never reached its full potential. And, like, we have him out there, and he's just beating Dominic every week. And he's getting distracted as Dominic because Ray's at ringside. And they're trying to tell this story. And to me, it's just like, I feel like this should be a good story. It seems like it should be a pretty real story. That it's like Ray is trying to help Dominic, try to teach him to be, think like a veteran, think like he would in the ring. And obviously Ray's got that experience, so it's believable. And it makes sense because Dominic, he hasn't been wrestling for that long. But, it's going wrong. It's not going the way that Ray wants it to. And Dominic is sort of blaming Ray. You don't really hear him say it, but you could kind of see the body language. And the fact that even gets across is good. But I just feel like this is half-baked. And when I say that Rey Mysterio deserves more every week, I'm just saying, like, they should put more effort into the stuff they do with Rey. After everything that this guy has given this company over the years, and then being one of the most over of all time, I don't get how guys like him and Jeff Hardy get treated this way. Like, they just don't do anything substantial with these guys. To a greater extent, Jeff Hardy, because at least Ray's showing up on the show regularly. But when he's there, it doesn't feel special. And Rey Mysterio should feel special every single night that he's out there, but he just doesn't. And, I know he's special. I view him as someone special, but, like, as far as he's being presented on the show, he's just kind of like a veteran that's out there, and just they're kind of using that as part of the storyline, which is good, but it's not getting across as effective as it should. It's just, there's nothing that I can really get behind here. Because so far all I'm seeing is just Dominic kind of messing up. Here it's just like he wasn't getting up to the top rope quick enough, and to me that's like, okay, well, it just kind of seemed like he lost like normal. I don't know. This is just not that. It's not that satisfying of a story. So, last segment of the night, we've got Kane coming out, a big surprise, the Knoxville Mayor, and that was pretty awesome to see. Now, I liked how this was all going. Bianca being over and everything. They were singing their, college, university song and all that, and then Cringey Lynch comes out there, and this promo right here, I was just running through some of my own ideas in my head, and I'm not saying that I'm the guy to write the wrestling show, but, like, there were no insults to the crowd and everything. Uh, Bianca is telling the crowd, saying like she didn't go here, and they're chanting that to her, and Cringey Lynch is like, well, I know I didn't go here, I know I didn't. Now hold on, like she's trying to do like that, like goofy type of shtick here, trying to fight back against the crowd, and it's like almost trying to make it like she's frazzled, but she's putting it on, and it's just a really weird, awkward performance. When the obvious thing here, she's going back with the 26 seconds. I beat her in 26 seconds, and she keeps going, back to that point constantly. It's like, I don't know. I guess she doesn't have a script. I think she claimed at one point she didn't have a script, and if that's the case, I mean, this is not good. I mean, the most obvious thing is, if you're in Tennessee, what do? Wouldn't you call the crowd? Wouldn't you call them rednecks? Wouldn't you say something about the school, something negative? But you don't get that here. You just get the blandest, most not even heel performance. I don't know what this was. She gives a rock bottom to Belair, the manhandle slam. Same move that she beat her with at SummerSlam. I mean, this whole Cringey Lynch heel turn is like one of the worst devised heel turns I think that I've really ever seen. I mean, because there's just not a lot of heel here. There's no lines of dialogue that are that heelish. She's not coming off as dastardly. She's in the hometown of Belair. Like, if they always like to use that trope of attacking the crowd, which is a pretty good trope. I mean, some people don't like it, but I think it does work effectively at times. If used correctly. We saw that at MSG last week, how effective that can be when you make the hometown the focus. Now, this right here was a bit of a different type of angle, where you could have had Cringey Lynch actually saying things to rile up Bianca because they're in her hometown. And this just felt so off and so unfulfilling, and like really shows that like Cringey Lynch just cannot do character. And the fact that she was getting praised for her man character, this is why it drives me wild. This is why I created the nickname for her, Cringey Lynch, because it's like everything that this girl does on this show is just it's cringy. It just is. I mean, I don't know how else to put it. I mean, she just does not come across well on my TV to me. And I understand there's many people that are a fan of her and they like her, but I'm just even listening to the crowd, and she's not getting the intended reaction that she's looking for, which is not good. If she's not getting booed, if she's not getting heat, then she's not a good heel, and she damn well isn't a good one. This segment right here, it fell flat on its face. I liked the way it was going, Kane presenting her the key, to Knoxville and everything, and I thought it was pretty cool to have Kane, be the mayor here, which he is, and play up that role for Belair, that they took advantage of. They're from the same hometown, that worked nicely together. But Cringey Lynch came out there, and this segment went south quickly, and that was what this whole segment was pretty much banking on. They wanted to give her the heat, to Belair in her hometown, and they didn't succeed. So this show, I really look at it, and there's not a lot of highs on here. You got the Seth Rollins promo, you got a decent opening tag match, but, from there, I mean, everything kind of just disappointed. I mean, you got the backstage beatdown, but not a lot to really speak of here. I mean, after the MSG show, this was such a letdown, and is it really a letdown? Because we're so used to having good shows, and then being horrible shows, the very next week. I mean, so really, should we be that surprised? No, we shouldn't. But that still doesn't change the fact that it's just alarming that's how good last week was, and just how underwhelming this week was. A lot had to do with Brock Lesnar, and a lot had to do just with the flow of the show, and just a lot of weird choices. Like, especially doing the whole Big E thing, like, really early, and just having Roman Reigns have, like, 3 feuds going on at once. I don't get it. Anyway, guys, let me know what you thought down in the comments below. Please subscribe if you haven't already, and click the bells to get all the notifications when I post all my new videos. I want to thank all my patrons for your continued support. Thanks again, guys. I'll see you next time.